Good morning. As you can see by the title of the video, why nothing is ever accomplished in the trucking industry. We're going to get into that in a second. We'll wait till a few people start rolling on in here. I guess while we're waiting on people to roll on in here, we'll kind of give you a recap of what's been going on. We got the new garlic habanero. It's out now. It's more in your face heat. Really good stuff. You can get that at truckandgspot.com. Another thing is later tonight at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll have LB Shade live with us, as long as we got signal. I'm trying to get to a place where we got signal for this evening. Like I said, we'll wait till a few people roll in here because I don't want to have to sit there and keep repeating this. I guess we'll kind of get into why the video's titled this. Do you have that comment pulled up?
Not at the moment. I'm trying to work 3 devices. Give
Oh,
me
but
a
you're
second.
good. You're like an octopus, ain't you?
Well,
Yes, Mrs. G's pulling up the comment that kind of enraged us at me. I'm gonna wait for her.
the comment was, hey, why aren't you doing something for the industry by standing up with Bob? He's actually trying to do something.
I seen that comment and it kind of upset me a little bit, and I don't think the person that wrote the comment tried to upset me. I don't believe they meant much by it, but I took it to heart. Why ain't you doing anything for the industry? I've been doing all I can for this industry. One man can only do so much. The other thing is, why ain't I standing up with Bob? Who is Bob? Are we talking about Bob Ross? Are we talking about Bob Vila? There's plenty of Bobs out there. I don't know who Bob is. I don't know what Bob's doing. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. One of the biggest problems why things don't get accomplished in this industry is because there's a lot of people who've got a lot of great ideas, but they never go to fruition. Nothing ever happens. Why? Because of bad planning. What's another reason? Egos and pride. That's another reason why things never get accomplished in this industry. And kind of talk about that. Bad planning. Well, if I don't know who Bob is and I don't know what Bob's doing, how am I supposed to get behind Bob? And it's not just Bob. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't know who Bob is. The other day we were in California, and we found out one day ahead of time that there was supposed to be some kind of protest with the Indian truck drivers, and I guess the Sikhs or something like that. I don't know. I didn't get much information on it. I never could get much information on it. I also heard that there was 200 trucks in Indianapolis that I never got any information on. You know, how are we supposed to stand together if we don't hear about things like this? It's all about planning. And the thing is, Facebook and YouTube and all the rest of these platforms will only let so much get out there. And back in the day, it was word of mouth and CB. Didn't hear no chatter on the CB, as you can tell. Here, I'll turn my squelch down. CB's always on. Word of mouth. No, never heard one driver come up to me and say, look, this is what's going on. Never had one driver email me and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. If we don't get together and we don't let these things be known, then nothing ever happens. And that's the way they want it. They don't want us to get together. As long as we're divided, nothing will ever happen in this industry. Until we can put our egos and our pride aside, nothing will ever happen in this industry. What do I mean by ego and pride? Well, there's a lot of talking heads out there that don't want to that will do absolutely nothing. Believe in that something needs to be done, but will do absolutely nothing but bash what's going on if they're not the talking head of the event. That's the best word I can come of the protest or whatever you want to call it, demonstration. Unless they're the talking head and they're the main focal point of it, they don't want to get behind it.
Susie Carlton says, I never heard a word about any of it either.
No, I didn't. And that's just it. You can't have a protest,
A successful protest,
2 days prior, 1 day prior, even a couple weeks prior. It needs to be planned out ahead of time. You need to have a buzz going, people that know what's going on. And you can't have a protest or a demonstration or whatever you want to call it without giving people the
correct information. You have to be specific. You have to show time, location, what the route is, so that everybody knows in case they can't join at the starting point, where they can meet up in the middle or towards the end or right after it starts. You got to give the specifics. Dan Doris says, too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
You're exactly right, brother. You're exactly right. And that's just it. I'm not trying to be a chief of nothing. I'm the wrong person to have as a talking head. You need to have somebody that knows the laws, that knows the politics around the trucking industry. I know that I'm fed up. I know I'm just as pissed as every American out here. I know I'm just as pissed as every driver out here. But being pissed off isn't going to get your point across to the government.
Susie Carlton says they also need to have one united message.
And you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I mean, I'm sure we can all, every truck driver out here can get behind the rates. The rates are horrible, and it's got to change. There's a lot of companies going under. There's a lot more that are going to go under. There's a lot more that's going to go under. You cannot keep running these trucks at the rates you're running them.
Dan Doris says everyone wants to keep secret, and then nobody does anything.
You hit the nail on the head, brother. I mean, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because we all know this, but everything keeps happening the same way over and over and over again. And then you got the guys that just want to be, like I said, just want to be the talking head and start these protests, but nobody will get behind them because they're bad planning to begin with. Their motives to begin with. We seen one protest, about a month ago? And I'm not going to name no names. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who it is and who it ain't. Guys started spouting off, got all kinds of talk time, got people's ears, and nobody showed up. Guess what? He didn't show up either. How are you going to lead something if you do not show up? Then he goes online and he starts bashing everybody else and saying it's their fault. That's why he didn't show up, because nobody else showed up.
So basically what it sounds like is he laid back and waited at home to see if anyone was going to, gather and congregate before he decided whether or not he was going to even go down there and if it was worth it.
If I start
when
something,
he started it.
Believe me, if I start something, I don't care if I'm the only fool there. Hell, I've been a fool once before, more than once. If you know me very well, you know that I ain't afraid of being a fool, as long as it's something I stand for.
Kathy says, never heard about anything in Indy. Looked it up, and yes, they had a slow roll on I-465 and eastbound 70. Ended at 2 p.m.
Yeah, see, I didn't hear nothing about it until it was already over. And you're not going to have anything successful if people don't hear about it until it's over, until the day of, or the day before. My word is my bond. If I grab a load and I'm delivering that load, guess what? I'm going to deliver that load before I do anything else. Why? Because my own convictions. I made a promise to deliver said load from point A to point B. Am I afraid to break my promise to a broker? No, I'm afraid to break my promise to myself. I gave that broker my word. I gave that company my word. I will have this load there by this time, and it's going to take an act of God to stop me.
Beth says, you're right, G, 100%. The radio got more out than all these damn platforms have.
And it's just crazy. Back in the day we had the truck at Bozo. He got the word out. We had the CB radio back in the day, and the word got out because people actually used it back then. Nowadays it's social media, and you have to rely on that platform to decide whether or not they're going to let your message get out. I'm sure this video here probably won't get out.
Mary says, my husband and I haven't heard anything. Trucker G, you're right. The CB is the communication for the truck driver. You only get in the CB only if there is a wreck. So true, Trucker G. Y'all be safe out there.
And it really kind of, like I said, that kind of upset me. Like I said, I gave 5 months of our life, and we lost every freaking thing we had. Everything. We're just now getting back on our feet, and we're struggling to do it. I'll be honest with you, we are struggling to do it. We are struggling to keep our head above water in the way the rates are right now.
Susie says, I was thinking yesterday about how it seems everyone's wages in America went up and our industry's wages went down dramatically. It's ridiculous that people make fun of cashiers but at least they were able to see a significant increase in their wages.
Yeah, but at the same time, inflation went up. Price of everything went up. So did they see a significant increase in their wages? No, they pretty much stayed the same as far as what they can afford to buy. But you're right, the truck driver didn't make it. We're making even less.
Dan says, and then the bashing begins. This one did this and this one did that. The group is bad and this one is the best. Exactly.
I've had more bashing than I care to even have, brother. I mean, you'll attest to it. You wasn't too sure about me to begin with either, and you met me, and you see what you see is what you get with me. You know, I don't feel I'm any better than anybody else, and I never will. I'm just, if I have a conviction about something, I'm like a pit bull. I'll grab onto it by the neck and I will hold on, and I won't change my mind for anybody unless you make me see something that I didn't see before. And I'll be the first to apologize and say, hey, I was wrong.
Laura says, sadly, you also have drivers that complain but don't want to be involved.
Then you got the drivers that are afraid to lose their jobs, and I understand you're afraid to lose your job, but if you have a conviction in something and you believe in something enough, another job will come along. I mean, I know a lot of guys say, well, I'm a company driver, I drive for the company. Well, right now, even company drivers are hurting. Yeah, that rate ain't hurting their cents per mile, but are you getting the miles?
Harvey says, our company had to cut our pay to keep things going.
And that's just it. Unless you're a mega corporation that they can afford to take that kind of hit. And these mega corporations have got to be feeling some kind of squeeze with these rates the way they're going.
Susie says, absolutely right about inflation, but at least they aren't in our position. We too are hanging on by a thread, and that's with 3 trucks on the road. Oh, we feel you, Susie.
Yeah.
We feel you.
It's hard enough with 1. I could imagine 3.
3, yeah. Melody says, at all of those trucks at the TA yesterday is scary.
And it is. Did you see? I mean,
you see the amount.
That TA at that time, there should have been a line of trucks waiting to get out the gate. It was a Monday morning, or no, Tuesday morning, wasn't it?
It was a Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning.
Wednesday, sorry, Wednesday. I lost my days.
I don't even know what today is, to be honest.
Today's Thursday. It was Wednesday.
At that time of morning, there should have been a line going out, and if there wasn't a line going out, they should have already had trucks cleared out of there.
Chris says, we all need to do what is right for us. Trucking is trucking.
The thing is, what's right for... We all want the same thing in truck. We just want to make a livable wage. We want to put a roof over our family's head. We want to put food on the table. And I'm sure every one of us truck drivers can agree to that.
Ryan says, I don't see anything changing in this industry. Only going to get worse. The economy is in shambles.
The only way things change is we set our differences aside, set our politics aside, and agree on the one thing that we all agree on. Like I said, we want to make a living wage. We want to put food on the table. We want to feed our families. We just want a decent wage for a hard day's work.
Daniel says, hey, I'm not the only one who loses my days.
That's trucking for you. You know that, brother.
Harvey says, we are a pretty big company, roughly 1,000 trucks. So we are running on a 3-cent profit margin per mile.
yeah, that's not sustainable. You know, trucking's a roller coaster, and I've said it for years, and I'll continue to say it. But this is a long, long drop.
No joke. I'm ready for the upswing, guys.
I don't know if I've seen a drop this long. I mean, 2008 was bad. Don't get me wrong. But at least you've seen it. You've seen the end in sight, and you've seen that peak coming. I'm not seeing a peak coming. I'm just seeing that valley. Seeing more of that valley, and it's not our fault. We allow it to happen. I know people say, well, it's supply and demand, there's less demand. I tell you what, people ain't eating no less. These large corporations, they're making record-breaking profits.
Beth says the kid down the street's been on half-paid leave since March from FedEx and he pulls doubles. He was asked if he wanted 3 months more. They hired too damn many, now not enough loads.
And that happens. It happens.
Sorry guys, I just got booted out of Facebook. Give me a moment to pull comments back up. Chris says it won't change till the country gets up and makes the changes.
When do you see these changes happening? I see these changes happening as soon as the people in this country can stand together and say, you know what, we've had enough.
Sandra says, thank you, Trucker G and Mr. G, for your honesty and for all you do.
I appreciate you. And like I said, if I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Janice says, there's strength in numbers. It's too bad you can't get more truckers to stick together. I don't understand why they don't want to use their CB radios. That's a good way to circumvent social media.
I mean, we're talking about trucking here. I mean, trucking's just a small segment or it's actually a pretty big segment of the United States. I mean, we can get right back into that's the problem with this country. It's because people won't stand together. People are so caught up in the division and so caught up in their so-called politics, and it's all smoke and mirrors, people. I'm telling you, it's smoke and mirrors.
Mary says, if it wasn't for us truck drivers, people would go hungry. No clothes, no medicine, nor fuel for the cars and our truck drivers.
This LGBTQ stuff that's going on right now, that's all over TikTok.
I feel like it's a mass.
This border crisis that's all over the news, and that's what everybody keeps talking about. It's smoke and mirrors, people. Anything that you turn the news on and that's all you're hearing about, there's a reason why you're hearing about it. I'm more worried about the stuff we're not hearing about.
Pete Robinson says National Tractor Trailer School here in New York is closing after this graduating class. Without trucking, we will not get goods and services.
It's crazy.
Cody Lockhart says, yep, all smoke and mirrors to divide and conquer.
They're good at what they do. It's working.
Cindy Buck says, everything has been bad for years. Husband was in the carpet union and did good until pay dropped because Mexican would work for $10. My brothers were iron workers, and it was the same for them. They all had to get out.
Well, let me ask you this, Cindy. Is it the Mexicans' fault? I know I've heard a lot about the border crisis and all these people coming across the border. And matter of fact, I was watching Newsmax, matter of fact, and the guy was down there and right there by Panama, where there's an influx of a bunch of people coming up over on their way up here. And, you know, there was a family with their 2 kids, and it brought me right back to a comment that I heard the other day on one of the lives of somebody down at the border saying that, you know, it's the cartels and a bunch of drug smugglers and traffickers coming across the border. No, it's a lot of them are actually families that are coming across the border. Don't get me wrong. There's some bad people coming across the border too.
There's bad people mixed in there. But then there's...
But do we blame... I'm sorry, honey. But do we blame those people coming across the border for the problem at the border? No, I blame the damn government for allowing it to happen. Put the blame where it belongs. It's not the people that are coming over. That should be shut down. Why ain't we doing anything about it? That's where our outrage should be. No, but all the comments I hear is they're outraged and want. Matter of fact, I had somebody sent me a message, wanted me to take the convoy of truckers to the border and shut it down. It's not the truckers' job to shut the damn border down. It's the government's job. I'm not pissed at the people coming across the border. I'm pissed at the government for allowing it to happen.
Brandy says it's a bunch of look here so you don't see what's going on over there. United we stand, divided we fall. They want us to fall. Chris says it's not just the truckers. All need to step up and make the changes. If you watch the news, it's all a soap opera.
Damn right, brother. Damn
Everyone needs to decide to set stuff aside to vote in the change.
Hell, at this point in time, does our votes even count? We don't even know that. The only way they're going to take us serious is when they see the whites of our eyes that we mean business and that we've had enough.
Cody Lockhart says companies will look for cheaper paid labor. So who's really at fault? Cindy Buck says no, not their fault, but they damn sure didn't help. The companies are more to blame to make more money.
Like I said, though, Cindy, it's not the people that come across the border. It's not their fault to try to make a better living for their families. It's our government's fault for allowing them to come over to begin with.
Evelyn says
legally or illegally.
Illegally. Evelyn says totally agree. Times are bad for most everyone these days. This administration is set to destroy this country.
Why can illegals work for less money than legals? Because they don't pay taxes. They don't have to pay the taxes. They can work for cheaper.
Tony Wise says, we are in a mess. That is all I got to say.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Matt Wright says, amen. You're absolutely right. It's the government's fault. Speak the truth, Trucker G.
I get disheartened by people blaming the symptom and not blaming the
But that's the
virus.
thing. The government has ruled us by that type of brainwashing and indoctrination that it's everyone else's fault, but not the government. Rebecca says, amen. Another hiccup week for the trucking industry. Big broker laid off 300. Rates not profitable for months. Manufacturing down 20%. Hubby put his truck in shop versus knitting a sweater earlier this week. Finally, OTR today. Be safe.
You know, we're trillions of dollars in debt, but yet we're sending money out like it's candy. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about politics, and I don't want to know a whole lot about politics. Why are we sending money to what was it I seen this morning?
Oh, where was it?
Afghanistan.
No.
Saudi Arabia. No, it was.
Oh my gosh.
One of them countries over there for transgender.
To teach them English.
To teach them English.
I can't remember what. Pakistan.
That's what it was. Sending money over there to pay people to teach the trans. That's just one example.
Brandy says, that's what's killing us financially. The darn taxes and insurance. Oh, yeah. Cindy Buck says, I really want our armed forces to guard the border. Nowhere in the world is that allowed. Laura says, not just the government. How did the government get there? Cheating? People voting for so many free things.
Yeah. There's nothing in this world that's for free.
Nope. There's always a cost.
How much you think it sounds good. Oh, I'm going to get free education. No, it's not free. It's costing somebody something. And who's paying for it? The blue-collar worker. Linda
says, all talk and no action, and it needs to stop. Susie Susie says, I think the only way to get change is to tear the whole damn system to the ground. Those politicians will never vote themselves out of a job, nor out of money. They should not be allowed to get money from lobbyists in order to fulfill their jobs.
And the only way that's going to happen is when they see the whites of your eyes, because then they know you mean business.
Shelly Rogers says, calm down, Mr. G.
Yeah, I probably need to.
Heather says, if people don't get out and vote, we can't get rid of all this damn corruption in our government. We need less government in our lives.
Who do you vote for, though? Who do you vote for? You vote for the person you hear about. Well, guess what? The person you heard about is probably already in somebody's pocket. No matter how great they talk and they speak, and the great things come out of their mouth, guess what? They're probably already in somebody's pocket.
There's
because
someone
they
already
have money
tweaking.
behind them.
They're pulling the strings. Cindy Bug says, we send money to freaking everyone, and we have hungry children. Ricky says, all of you people need to stand up against the government. Joan says, my nephew is a trucker, and he is struggling financially. I have no idea how truckers can make a living.
We're not.
We're hanging on. You heard Susie say they're running 3 trucks. And, they're keeping their head barely above water. And the same with us. We've only got 1 truck that we're running. And have to worry about maintenance on and fuel and everything that is included in that. Insurance. All our fixed costs. We're barely keeping our heads above water. And there's some weeks that, you know what? Our noses are below the water, along with our mouths, and all we can see is the water line going across our eyes. Donna says, have you heard anything about doing away with the dollar? Wondering if they are trying to take our savings beforehand.
I don't know nothing about it, to be honest with you. But if people are worried about it, they're outraged about it, stand up, step up.
Michelle Brandon says, I wish the government would be as passionate about the USA as G is. Susie says, amen, Mr. G. I don't want violence, but every day I think we get a little closer to that being our only way out.
I don't think we need to have violence. You don't. You don't have to have violence to get your point across. If enough people stood together and threw your politics to the side, I don't care who you voted for or who you didn't vote for. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I don't care
who you pray to.
Anything. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care about none of that. Every one of us can agree. We want to feed our families. We want a decent living. We want to be able to put food on the table.
Sherry Beeman says, gee, you're fine. You don't need to calm down. You're exactly right.
No, my blood pressure just skyrockets.
Joan says, we've hit rock bottom. Anyone we vote for has to be better than what we've got. But that's the problem. We shouldn't have to vote for the lesser of 2 evils. There should be a good candidate that doesn't have to be in someone else's pocket.
You'll never hear from him.
To vote for. And you're right. We won't hear from him because he doesn't have the big money, him or her, the big money behind them to campaign and to get their name out there and to be heard. Just like all these different protests that have happened, they try to get the word out there. They try to get the message across, but you don't hear about it.
I'm tired of Republican and Democrat alike. I'm tired of a 2-party system. I just want somebody that wants best for this country. I don't care what you call yourself. I want somebody that wants best for this system, not best for your party, best for our country. I said best for this system. Best for our country.
Ricky says, we are all shut down here in Canada. We block the highways till we get our voices heard.
Yeah, I wish the American truck driver could get together like that. I really do. Egos and pride.
Ricky says,
that's the best thing I can say it.
Biden and Trudeau have talked behind our backs, and we shut the highways here in Canada. Or shut down the highways here in Canada.
My hat's off to you, Canadians. My hat's off to you.
Lori says everything that's happening is to wake people up to see what we've been experiencing. That was in the shadows. Everything is being shown now. Yes, they are trying to get rid of the flat currency. And I don't believe everything's being shown, because I believe this is another smoke and mirrors game for something bigger in the background. Bonnie says, so many lies get told on you when you try to stand. The government has us.
Oh, believe me, I've been called a racist. I've been called a white supremacist. I've been called
an actor.
An actor. I've been called, you name it, I've been called it.
The actor makes me laugh. Susie says the problem is that no one listens
hold on one
to
second.
Okay.
You want to know the one thing? Out of everything that I've been called, there's only one thing that's ever bothered me. Is when I hear somebody say that I don't care and I haven't, and that I've done nothing. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do.
Susie says the problem is that no one listens to those of us in the middle, because we typically aren't as loud as those that lean too far one way or the other. John says it's a one-party system masquerading as a two-party system.
You're right there, brother. If you don't think that both them parties get together and have drinks and laugh at us, you got nothing coming.
And the sad part is there's people out there that don't believe that the two parties have anything to do with each other. They think they absolutely despise each other and stay away from each other. I wish those people would take the blinders off and see that in reality, it's just a show for the American public. Because behind closed doors, they're doing this favor for that party, this favor for the other party. Oh, T Marie.
What you do?
She pulled the